mynews.studio.
Imagine a digital survey, but one designed from the ground up so it can be read aloud by screen readers. That changes who gets help during a crisis. Could a single tool really reshape disaster response?
Today is December 18th, 2025. We're focusing on the launch of SIRA, which is described as the world's first fully inclusive, open-source data tool for emergencies. Can I ask, do you think most listeners are aware of just how big the data gap is for people with disabilities during humanitarian crises?
Honestly, most people aren't. In emergencies, people with disabilities are almost invisible in the data. That leads to them being last in line for aid, or sometimes not reached at all. SIRA, which was created by Light for the World and FAMOD in Mozambique, is the first tool where anyone, including people who are blind or have low vision, can actually collect and analyze emergency data themselves. That's a real shift.
But there are already digital surveys out there, right? What actually makes SIRA different from those?
You're right, there are digital surveys, but they're rarely accessible. SIRA is designed to universal standards for web accessibility. That means it works seamlessly with screen readers, and you can use it with just a keyboard. Interviewers with disabilities can operate it without running into barriers, and since it's open source.
Wait, so anyone can take it and adapt it to their own needs?
Exactly. SIRA isn't a fixed questionnaire, it's modular. There's a core set of questions, but teams can add modules that fit their situation. Say there's a flood, or a conflict, or a food shortage, they can tweak it. Plus, it blends numbers, like how many people need mobility aids, with open-ended questions. So you get both the statistics and the personal stories about what's really stopping people from getting help.
How did they actually test SIRA in the field?
They piloted it in Cabo Delgado, Mozambique, which has been through a lot of conflict. FAMOD, the local disability group, co-designed and tested SIRA. They brought in enumerators with disabilities, found respondents through their networks, and led the interpretation of the results. Because of that, more people took part, and the data reflected actual barriers, not just guesses.
Did having that data change what humanitarian agencies did on the ground?
It did. For instance, the RISE Cabo Delgado program changed its plans based on SIRA's findings. They moved aid distribution points and made information available in accessible formats. So it's not just about collecting data, it's about making changes right away.
But if SIRA is open source and adaptable, what's stopping it from being used everywhere?
That's a fair point. One hurdle is capacity. Local groups need to be involved in customizing and rolling it out. That requires resources and training. But the experience with FAMOD shows that, with strong partnerships, SIRA can be scaled to other places fairly quickly.
What about data privacy? Emergencies can be chaotic and sensitive. How does SIRA deal with that?
SIRA is careful about privacy. It only collects what's really needed, and everyone participates with informed consent. The manual emphasizes confidentiality. Data is stored securely, access is limited, and results are anonymized before sharing. Enumerators are trained in do-no-harm principles. And since it's open source, anyone using it is expected to follow humanitarian data protection standards, using encryption, safe sharing agreements, all of that.
Why does this matter to countries outside Mozambique?
Emergencies are happening more often, whether it's conflict or climate disasters. People with disabilities are usually the most at risk, but they're often missing from the data. If SIRA is used globally, it could finally close that gap and ensure aid actually reaches everyone who needs it. It's a model that governments and NGOs everywhere could follow.
Do you think SIRA could change how emergency aid is planned more broadly, not just for disability inclusion?
Absolutely. It sets a higher bar for accountability. If you're not collecting inclusive data, you're missing key needs. SIRA's approach could push the entire humanitarian sector to rethink how crises are planned for.
So, if I sum it up, SIRA is the first fully accessible, open-source emergency data tool, already making a difference in Mozambique. It's modular, designed both for and by people with disabilities, and could scale up globally if local groups are involved. And privacy is built in from the very beginning. The big question is, will governments and agencies make inclusive data the norm?
That's the key challenge. But with tools like SIRA, it's finally within reach.
That wraps up today's deep dive. We started with a digital survey and ended with a possible blueprint for more equitable disaster response.
Thanks for tuning in. This episode was powered by mynews.studio. You can try it now for free.